My name is Anthony Sandoval. I'm the president and CEO of WSH Management. Been in business for 24 years and looking for our big 25th anniversary next year and seeing what happens. I think some of the biggest trends are more towards going toward the supportive housing and what's going on in that aspects and the challenges of it. I mean, when we came into the industry, predominantly we do tax credit, and there was straight tax credit because, especially in California, where our businesses we're solely in California, just the barriers to entry into the business are so high because the cost of land, cost of building development, and all the regulations that go on top of it that you need more layers of financing. The tax credit's not just going to cut it. So you have all different layers, like you'll have bonds in there, you'll have HCD funding, different types of funding that come in, which just complicate that much more because each one of them comes with its own regulatory issues. And I think that is the challenge, managing all those different things, because they don't always agree. And even though attorneys are involved and try to make things so they do jive, you find out occasionally that they conflict. And so you have to sit back and say you have to go with the most restrictive. So what is the most restrictive and what makes sense and how you're going to move forward? And I think using the software to leverage that and to capture that information is the most important because we're all humans. We all make mistakes, and so you make a mistake in the tax credit world, it could be very costly. What we've seen as we've grown, we've had to bring on more staff to manage the compliance side of it, and which is more of like the checking and ticking and some of the other things that is more the clerical side, where it's like, how can we put that off onto the software to do more of that? Because the cost of the software in the long run is going to be a lot cheaper than a person, especially in California. Early on, when Yardi didn't have all these, I'd say their lateral softwares that integrated in, we did go to the outside, and Yardi is like an open architecture where you allow the integration, from partners in the business. Well, we found in the long run is that it's not necessarily the most efficient because some of the data will come in, but not all the data. So especially, it's really important when you get to the detail in the notes or things like that, where the high-level stuff will come in, but not the other things, and you have to go back to the other software to log. So it's great to be able to go to one place, because that's the key thing, is go to one place so your staff is not having to go into another software for credit reporting, another software for the initial application and things like that. It's all in one place, which I think saves a lot of time. We integrate where it's very easy to integrate the Yardi stuff and pull the screens down, pull it right in there, because that's what people want. When you refer someone back to something, yes, there's a lot of onboarding and training one-on-one, but in the long run, adult learners learn tactically. They learn by doing it. So it's like, okay, I can show you how to do it. That doesn't mean you're going to learn it. Here's the policy. Here's the walkthrough. It should get you through that process. I think that's what helps us out the most. So when you refer someone back to something in the learning process, you say, go back to the policy and procedure, look it up. Here it is. Here's how to do it. Something new comes through that an expense that the state requires or the city requires, something like that, we can't pass that expense along to the residents through increased rent. So we have to learn to manage it because we still have the bottom line that we have to meet. We still have to be able to pay the mortgage, pay the taxes, pay everything else that goes along with it, which means that if you're limited on the income, you have to manage the operating expenses that much more. So I think that is like, how can we learn to be more efficient? And that's one of the things that software and integration is to be able to do that. Yardi, I think, spends a lot of time listening to their customers and finding out what are your barriers? What are your challenges? What do you see as going on? How can we help you? Which I think is nice with the partnership. I do that with my management company because even though we don't own our properties, we act like we own. We treat ourselves as owners, where it's our asset and we're partners. And I think that's the most important thing is feel our pain points and help us through these. And I think that's the thing, because it's like there's always going to be challenges that come up, but when you can meet together as a group and say, okay, how can we hit these issues and overcome them? And what's the best way? I think that's one of the greatest things that us has been with Yardi.